Episode 2, K-8 and the Unforgotten Children. Well, 27 is totally dead. He stopped moving over half an hour ago. I should get up and go. God, it even hurts to walk. I have been shot in the back, stabbed in the shoulder, cut in the stomach, and I lost a chunk of my hair. Some injuries were worse than others. I pulled myself up off the bench and hobbled over to the elevator. I had bandages wrapped around every part of me that was injured, but it still hurt. Maybe there are some painkillers around here. I think there was a medical lab downstairs. I stumbled into the elevator and started the descent back to the bottom floor. God, if I'm having this sort of a time walking, maybe I'll just camp out here tonight. No, there's a good chance more Tengen nutjobs like 27 are gonna show up. The elevator suddenly stopped, then hung in midair. Great. I got up and kicked open the door that was closest to me. It was locked pretty tight, so it took a few kicks to get it open. I climbed into the room, blood dripping onto a lavish carpet. As I reapplied the bandages, I gazed in awe at the room. Even left alone for years, it was still the most luxurious thing I had ever seen. The carpet floor was patterned in white, gold, and silver, with similar ornaments hanging on the walls. A grandfather clock sat in the corner, still ticking away as it would for a long time to come. I flopped down on one of the plush sofas on the room. I made sure it was a red one. If I ended up bleeding out on it, it wouldn't be very noticeable. I realized that I just laid down on a piece of paper. I took it out from under my body and looked at it. It was a photo of a young girl with blonde hair. The name Isabella was written on the back. I tossed it in my backpack. Not sure whose it is, but it might come in handy later. This must have been the guards' living area, a place they stayed when they weren't doing their job. Then I saw something on the walls. 10 doors, each adorned with a number. 470, 471, 472. Counting on like that until it reached 479. This was a storage area for us. I'd heard that the ones with higher numbers had gotten better living areas, but I didn't think it got this good. We lived in a small metal box with no heating, no lights, and barely any food. These people were living with a giant window, a plasma TV, and the ability to order anything they wanted. Seriously, there was a menu full of food on the coffee table next to the sofa. It was like one of those menus from a fancy French restaurant you see in movies. I tossed it to the side. Most of the food would be rotten by now. As I lay on the couch, I stared out through the cracked window, pondering. Why had my friends and I been stuck in that hellhole when the higher numbers were kept in paradise? Why did I have to live like an unwanted pest when these people lived like kings? As I was deep in thought, a kid left one of the bedrooms and saw me lying on the couch.
Oh fuck, Dad, wake up!
Shouted the kid. He looked around 15 years old, with short black hair and pale green eyes. He rushed back toward one of the bedrooms, pounding on the door.
Ugh. Unless someone is bleeding or hurt, we'll deal with it later,
said a tired-sounding voice from one of the bedrooms.
There's a girl out here. Looks like she's been shot. Stabbed, too,
said the kid. His dad pulled himself out of the bed and came out of the bedroom. He was a much older man, old enough to be my dad. He looked around 40 years old, and he had a shaggy beard and taped-together glasses. He rushed out of the room and brought back a first aid kit. Basically the same thing I had. The dad looked at what I had already done inside.
Why did you put the bandages on the outside of your dress?
He asked. Well, I can't just get undressed randomly out in the open. Someone could have seen me. I know for a fact there are some creepy-ass things living here.
Okay, you look like you know how to do this yourself. So I'm gonna let you stay in one of these bedrooms and get yourself bandaged. Properly,
said the dad. He put his arm around my shoulder and helped me off the sofa. I went behind the door labeled 472 and lay down on the bed. The door closed behind me, and I covered the little glass window the door had on it. It had its own shade that I could bring down, believe it or not. The room itself was nearly 3 times the size of what I had in the bottom levels. So that meant that this room was basically a king-sized bed and nothing else. I took the time to bandage myself up, and then left the room.
Hey, solid debate for us. Is that dress red and blue? Or is that dried blood all over it?
Asked the dad. I pinched a part of the dress and rubbed off a few flecks of dried blood.
Yeah, that's dried blood, all right. Hang on, I can get you something better to wear,
said the dad. He walked over to another one of the bedrooms, 474 this time, and got out a light blue sundress. He handed it over to me and pointed to room 472.
Dad, are you sure about that? I know how much that...
Honestly, Jasper, I've been meaning to get rid of that for a while. I think it's time we leave this place. My daughter's probably dead by this point,
said the dad. The kid named Jasper shrugged and headed off to grab his stuff.
TV broke anyway,
said Jasper, shrugging his shoulders. He came back with a small backpack, loaded up with supplies.
This place is a great shelter, but we've run out of food, and hunting is a bitch here. I'm not sure how much longer that elevator's gonna last either,
said the dad. Yeah, about that. The elevator is completely busted. Once Jasper and his dad saw the busted doors, they both immediately panicked. Well, Jasper panicked. His dad sighed and grabbed several cables out of his backpack.
We'll have to rappel down. Ma'am, what's your name? Asked
the dad. I reached into my own backpack and took out a laminated card. The dad read it off. My name is K-8. I'm mute. I have a mouth injury which caused this, so I'll keep this scarf on to cover it up. I guess that explains that. Anyway, Jasper and I will lower you down. It's gonna be a lot harder for you with your injuries. The dad and Jasper helped me get the climbing gear on and began to lower me downwards. I had to wonder what these two were doing here. Jasper and his father were the only people living here, I think? I wonder why. He mentioned his daughter, so maybe she was one of the people kidnapped by Tengen. I heard they did that with some of the higher numbers. It was less expensive than creating artificial humans. That's what I and many others from Tengen were, artificial humans, grown in a test tube with no parents or family. I landed at the bottom floor, back at my old home. No, my old prison. I took off the climbing gear and let Jasper and his dad reel it back up for them to use. I headed outside the building. It wasn't raining out anymore, and the dark clouds had gone away. I waited outside for the others to come down. Jasper followed me out, but his dad stayed behind for a second.
Dad, come on, let's get out of here,
said Jasper. His dad lifted a chunk of metal off the ground and carried it outside. He walked past me and past the large metal fence topped with barbed wire, and down the ruined streets of the surrounding town. Jasper followed him, calling out for him, but his dad seemed to be in a trance. Jasper followed his dad, and I in turn followed them both out of town and into a forest. Jasper's dad jammed the shard of metal under an oak tree, then scratched something into it with a nearby rock. Jasper and I walked up to see what it was. It was a name, Isabella.
I tried. I really did. We all did. Even after everyone ran off, I still stayed. I pounded on the doors. I fought with the guards to let you go. They were too strong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Jasper's dad smiled like the smallest child as Jasper stood behind him, unsure of what to do. Isabella could have been any of the Tengen experiments. Could have been at the top of the tower, or she could have been stuck in the basement. Maybe she was one of the ones I was imprisoned with. Well, if she is dead, then I guess it doesn't really matter. I left Jasper and his father at the makeshift grave and walked away from the ruined town. As I walked, I took inventory of all my things. I have a gray and red winter coat, which I was wearing, a light blue sleeping bag, a pillow, the new dress, the photo I took from Tengen, a large kitchen knife, and a gray stuffed rabbit named Pillow. Yes, I sleep with a stuffed animal. Don't laugh. I have to wonder if that girl is still alive somewhere. You know what? I'm gonna go find that girl. I need something to do anyway. If she's dead, I'll just fight whatever did her in. Unless it's a super high-numbered kill, then I'm going to test how fast I can run away from something. The end. Thank you to Benedict Pavlovsky for doing the soundscaping. This podcast is written and hosted by Will Golick, which is me. And yeah, have a great day.